What's happening right now in Israel is heartbreaking. I've been keeping up with family, friends, and colleagues in Israel as best I can this week, posting about their children's terror. They're running for shelter, sleeping in bunkers. They're pulling their car over on a highway and laying on the street while sobbing when a siren alerted them that their life was in danger. Feeling once again that their lives are threatened simply because they are Jewish, simply because Israel is their home, they are struggling. The thing is, I know there are a lot of opinions about this conflict, about how we got here and what's to be done. I'm going to share a number of them, so at some point, I'm sure you'll disagree with me. But please keep listening. Rabbi David Wolpe argued that understanding Israel's actions boils down to the fundamental reality that if right now Hamas stopped firing rockets, this conflict would be over. But right now, if Israel stopped retaliating and defending herself, it would be slaughter. He is right, which is why now, in this moment, I absolutely support Israel's need to defend her citizens. Let's be clear, I'm brokenhearted by all the unspeakable loss of life, loss of any human life. And yet I know Hamas exists to annihilate Israel and makes indiscriminate attacks threatening all, and uses Palestinian civilians and children as living armor, putting them in harm's way, glorifying the opportunity to show the world photos of their deaths. And still, I pray for God to comfort all mourners and heal all who have been injured, Jews, Palestinians, and others. And during these times of danger, I of course stand strong and proud in support of the Israeli Defense Forces. And yet, if thousands of rockets were not raining down on Israeli cities, I would probably be speaking more tonight about Damascus Gate, Sheikh Jarrah, or the police entering the dome of the Rock Mosque. But while all of these are important issues to discuss, things that earlier this week I had planned on discussing tonight, the truth is, I know in my gut that they have nothing to do with these rocket attacks, other than acknowledging Hamas has brilliantly manipulated these events, both to kill Israelis and to grab hold of the mantle of Palestinian leadership from the PA. And I know Hamas will not be satisfied until all of us are gone. Even still, I do want to speak just a little bit tonight about our collective responsibility and how we must continue to dream of and innovate for a world of peace. As Rabbi Dr. Daniel Hartman writes, no question, Hamas is a repulsive, immoral enemy. And yet Israel, enamored by its own power, has failed its duty to strive to be smarter, more just, more visionary. He discusses the sad reality that we have stopped dreaming of ways to bring about peace and have accepted this hostility as status quo. And this is not simply an indictment of the Israeli government or people. This is on all of us. For we don't utilize times of calm and peace to demand more from the Israeli government, to enact substantial and innovative change, and therefore we are also slightly responsible for the reality in Israel. Leah Solomon explains it best when declaring that it may not be fair, but she wants more. She writes, not calls for a return to quiet and peace, but rather calls for accountability, calls for vision, for proactive diplomacy, for a government who will recognize that doing everything in their power to achieve a just and durable resolution to what we call the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is the most important responsibility of our generation. Every one of us who cares about our future here should be loudly demanding this every day, not only when there are rocket sirens blaring, not only when the frustration and despair finally overflow enough to make headlines, but also during the quiet times when there are actual windows of opportunity to make progress. So tonight, again, I state that while I wholeheartedly stand in support of the state of Israel and the Israeli Defense Forces, and pray that Israel will do everything she can to protect her people from these indiscriminate attacks and assaults, and pray for the people of Israel for their safety and for both their emotional and physical well-being, I also take a moment, even amidst this conflict, to pray that Israel too understands that hate is never acceptable, and therefore declares that Jewish extremists must be stopped. And I pray that Palestinians will not be evicted from their homes, and I pray that Israel will always do everything she can to protect the life of innocent Palestinians and protect the freedom of worship of all Muslims. And I follow Leah Solomon's lead and pray for accountability and vision and proactive diplomacy. And I echo Rabbi Hartman that even if we find ourselves in an unfair, unrelenting situation, we must insist on believing and acting as though we can live differently, live better, and find a solution. For this is what Judaism hopes and teaches. For it is only when we believe true peace can come that we will act and build and work towards a reality in which it will be so. So may we never give up hope, and may we never stop working for a better future. And may we pray, God, who makes peace in heaven, make peace for us here and now. Make peace on earth right now, peace for us, for Israel, for all the people of this earth. Lift us up, lay us down, hold us in our grief, quiet the trembling earth and quiet our trembling hearts. Make peace for us right now because we cannot do this alone. Because parents are grieving and the land is ravaged and the smoke has not cleared. So be with us, Adonai, in these moments of turmoil and in our moments of quiet that we pray will come, that we may find real solutions, have true leadership, and know a future not simply where rocket attacks cease, but where peace can truly be lived and felt. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will.